Batman Under the Red Hood was directed by Brandon Vietti, the same person that actually did Young Justice and The Batman, one of the greatest shows of all time, for real. Today I have with me Jaron. He also has his own YouTube channel. I believe it's TheRoboSamurai.
TheRoboSamurai, yep.
Yep, and I'll be making sure to post links and such on there, and just making sure you guys are able to see his channel as well. He's here to join me for this review because he's a huge Red Hood fan, as you can tell by the shirt. And I thought it would be appropriate to have him on the channel with me today. So what did you think of the movie?
I loved the movie. Red Hood is my favorite DC character. Right. So watching it I never read the source material. I have it. I just haven't read it yet. But watching the movie really brought out the character of Jason Todd.
It really did. I enjoyed one of the characters. Jason Todd, obviously, is voiced by Jensen Ackles, who's one of the biggest stars in Supernatural. And I thought he did a very good job with Red Hood's voice in this movie.
He did. I feel like he's the only voice that should be Jason Todd.
Yeah.
Like, while Troy Baker did a great job in Arkham Knight, I feel like Jensen Ackles does a much better job.
Yeah, that is true. And for those of you who know, some of you may not, Injustice 2 just came out not that long ago. Red Hood just came out for the game. And so we've been kind of analyzing the whole Red Hood with him as well. Another reason why we're doing this review, because of that. And so I thought it felt appropriate as well. One of the other main characters, obviously Batman, who was voiced by...
It's only the title of the movie.
Who was voiced by Bruce Greenwood. I enjoyed his character, per se, but I did not enjoy his voice. Like, I felt like Batman, this character, he had this, like, you could tell that he just had a lot of regret and guilt throughout this movie, which is very appropriate, depending on, because he's facing Jason Todd in this movie.
Right.
However, I felt that his voice wasn't a good fit for this movie.
See, I have mixed feelings with Bruce Greenwood's voice. It sounds like he's doing, like, a grizzled, older Batman.
Right.
But this isn't an older, grizzled Batman. It's kind of Batman in his prime, almost.
Yeah, like 20s, 30s Batman.
Yeah, like, Nightwing just became Nightwing, and he's doing his own shit. And then Batman is still young.
Which, by the way, Nightwing is voiced by Neil Patrick Harris.
Does an amazing job.
Oh, he does.
But I feel like Greenwood's voice would have been better for, like, if they were doing a Dark Knight Returns kind of story.
Yeah, definitely. But for this movie, again, I didn't like the voice too much. I felt that Kevin Conroy, as much as I know he wouldn't do this movie, he would have been a better fit. He was amazing in the animated series. He was amazing in Killing Joke, which I did a review for earlier this week. So I don't know why Kevin was like, nah, I'm not going to do this, but...
He's the only Batman.
He is, well, yeah.
He's the only Batman.
He's the only voice Batman.
Yes.
There's some other Batmans, but that's a whole other story. Joker in this movie was voiced by John DiMaggio, who is the voice of Jake in Adventure Time. And what did you think of him?
I'm sorry, but Mark Hamill's my Joker. Like, I always get a little turned off whenever I see someone play Joker that's not Mark Hamill. When it comes to voices.
Right.
Like, I absolutely hate the Richard Epcar voice in Injustice.
No
offense to Richard Epcar, but just I don't like his Joker impression.
Yeah.
But in this movie, it sounded like, I don't know, he had some good jokes at times, but half the times, it was his voice that made him go flat.
Yeah. Like, I enjoyed his voice, like his speaking voice as the Joker a lot. It was very darker, I guess you could say. Like, it made Joker feel like a darker person for this movie. But I felt that he tried too hard with the jokes and with the laugh. Especially the laugh. I felt that John was... I mean, every Joker tries hard with the laugh, because that's his signature. But I felt that, like, with certain Jokers, it's either a hit or miss. And I think with this one, it was more of a miss than a hit. I know I normally do this at the beginning of the review. I don't know why I didn't do it already. The story of Batman Under Red Hood is basically, it follows the events of the death of Jason Todd. So it comes 5 years later after the death of Jason Todd, and this new villain, Red Hood, comes out and is now basically terrorizing Gotham. And so now it's up to Batman to try and stop him while finding out some secrets that we all obviously knew throughout the movie. So that's, I mean, pretty much a big synopsis of the movie. There was a scene in this movie that I analyzed it a lot. There's a chase scene with Batman and Nightwing going against the Red Hood. And they're chasing him across buildings. And there's a lot of scenes where there's like hardcore parkour in this thing. But I get that it's an animated movie. But there's no way that anybody, animated or not, would survive the jumps that they were doing in that movie.
Yeah, the falls were pretty drastic.
Yeah, like I mean, like here's where they're going to land. Like here's where they're jumping from in a wider scale, and they just do like a barrel roll right out of it, and it's like what?
You would have like watched it this morning. I kind of noticed that they were making these long falls, but I'm like, they're acrobatic Robins. They should make it, but I didn't really think about it too much.
Yeah, they're acrobatic, but that doesn't mean once they land, they're not going to like break 3 bones in their legs and then try and like hobble away. No, They were like landing and just going off again.
And in fact, the only thing I was actually able to break bones from Nightwing was the explosion.
Yeah, that's true. Like out of the whole movie, with everything going on, the only broken bone in this movie was Nightwing from an explosion.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Logic.
Yeah, logic be flawed. The animation in this was really well done. It reminded me of... I think it reminded me a bit of Killing Joke's animation, just the hair.
I can see that.
Yeah, there was several moments where, like, you tell, again, with the CGI, mostly it's with the vehicles, where the animation style is just slightly different from the actual animation style, so you can kind of tell that it's a moving vehicle. I don't know why they do that nowadays. But I did notice in your notes that you mentioned something about the Batmobile.
Yes, I really love the Batmobile design of the current Batman.
Yeah.
Because it's like a mix of all the Batmobiles we've seen in the past.
Yeah, that is true.
You've got the animated series of the limousine mobile, if you will. And then it's got like the little bat head from the original Batmobile. From I think I'm going to mess this up, the 40s when Batman came out? 30s? Somewhere around there?
Something like that.
But you know what I'm talking about. And then it had the spoilers from the Tim Burton 89 film.
Yeah. It was definitely an awesome Batmobile in this movie. I enjoyed it as well. The origin story, again, I saw it in your notes, for Jason Todd was very lightly brushed upon. Why don't you go ahead?
Not only that, it was very different, and again, it's a nitpick, but the original story for Under the Red Hood was, or not Under the Red Hood, but Death of the Family. Jason Todd leaves Gotham to go to, I think it was Karak, that one country that they mention a lot in the DC universe.
Yeah.
And he went there in search for clues about how his mother died. That is where Joker kidnapped him and killed him.
Yeah.
And in this one, it was more like they were just in, I think it was Bosnia, was it?
It was Bosnia because...
Yeah, Bosnia trying to stop Ra's al Ghul, but to throw him off, Ra's fired the Joker. And that's how...
Minor spoilers, by the way. Minor spoilers. I'm not going to try and get too bad. We're not going to get too bad in the spoilers. So one of the other people in this movie was Jason Isaacs' voice for Black Mask. Because Black Mask is kind of a big character in this movie. I liked him... But he was a very angry guy who's angry at everything. So angry that he will punch his own bodyguards. Angry.
Just for staring at his mask.
Yeah.
A Mesa was going to buy my way up into high-end international trafficking. Now I'm forced to keep rooting around in this local leg-breaking garbage. And he gives me bat trouble. Who blows the damn robot's head off?
That's the best way to describe Black Mask in this movie. He was just angry. He was just an angry guy who was just angry all the time. The secretary, though, was by far the greatest character in this whole freaking movie. She was the secretary for Black Mask, and she did not care about anything. She just had, like, the blankest face and just, like she was so done with Black Mask.
From her was, yes, Batman takes things.
Yeah, that was a great line.
I could have at least sold it for scrap, but Batman kept it.
Yes, Batman likes to keep things.
She was very, very sarcastic, but, like, she showed that sarcasm as if, like, she was not afraid of him kind of a thing, which, now that I'm thinking about it a little stronger, That is a bit weird, actually. Like, he's the biggest crime lord who is feared by all, and then his secretary is, like, the person who does not fear him at all, and she's just kind of sarcastic.
Maybe she's seeing this as an opportunity, now that Red Hood's, like, actually making him work. She's seeing this as an opportunity for his weakness.
Maybe?
I don't know.
I don't know either. The very last scene, I'm not going to go into it too much, but, like, the very last climax scene was very sloppy.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm not going to go into it, but it was sloppy, it didn't make sense, and there was a lot of flaws technically. If you ever watch the movie, like if you've ever seen the movie, or if you're planning on watching it, if you're planning on watching the movie, good. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. But just the whole...
I had a lot of questions by the end of it.
Yeah, there was a lot of questions that they never really cleared up. And some movies, it's good to have questions because then it gets you theorizing and thinking. But with this movie... These kind of questions were questions that you don't want to theorize about. You kind of want to know the answer to, because it's a big thing. I mean, this whole movie is revolved around, and then all of a sudden there's just all these questions that don't get answered.
Part of me thinks that they were trying to one-up the Killing Joke, because that ending was supposed to be left ambiguous.
Yeah.
And I don't think it worked here.
No, it really didn't.
They didn't need to leave it ambiguous.
Yeah, this is, especially since later on he becomes a huge thing, like Red Hood becomes this big thing, and they just don't answer it. They probably should have answered a lot of people's questions.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's all my notes I had on this movie, oddly enough. I'm guessing we've gone through your notes for the most part?
Yeah, pretty much.
So Batman Under the Red Hood, it's a good movie. It's got a lot of its flaws, but all in all, it's not a bad movie to watch. It's funny. And it's very filled with action, and there's a lot going on.
There was one thing I wanted to mention. The ninja scene.
Yeah. So there's one scene in this where Red Hood and Batman are going up against the Fearsome Hand of Four, something like that.
I think. It's a weird name.
It's a weird name, but I think that was probably the greatest action scene in the whole movie because, one, if you know Jason Todd and all that, and the Red Hood and whatever, you get to see how him and Batman work together again to take down these ninja people, and you just see how well they work together. And then
you also get to see, like, how they're different. Yeah,
and you get to see how well they're, like, how different they are at the same time. But that whole fight scene was just incredible. I love the directing of it. I love the camera angles. I loved everything about it. It was probably the greatest scene in the movie, aside from, this scene.
I hope you understand the trouble I've gone through to arrange this little get-together here. A lot of money, a lot of dead meat. Look, I've got a problem. And you are absolutely the man who possesses the gifts to take care of this problem. I need you to murder the Red Hood. You think you can handle that?
May I have some water? I'm going to need something to wear in a very big truck.
Sure. Anything else?
I'll need some guys. Not these guys, because, well, they're kind of dead.
I mean, other than that scene, this ninja scene was also a good scene. So, Batman Under the Red Hood, again, great movie. Definitely recommend watching it. It's not the best movie for Batman, but it's a good one. Again, it's got a lot of its flaws, but I think I'm going to give this movie a C. I don't know what you would give it.
I give it a B-, just because I am such a fan of the Red Hood character, and I don't see the movie as a Batman movie. I see it as a Red Hood movie.
Right.
So for a Red Hood movie, it's a B-. For a Batman movie, as you said, a C.
So we're going to meet in the middle with this one. Batman Under the Red Hood, I'm giving this movie a C+. Guys, thank you as always for watching this review. I really appreciate it. Make sure you continue to check out this page. Don't forget to check out his page. I'm going to put a link in the description. It's TheRoboSamurai if the link doesn't work for whatever reason. So make sure you like and subscribe to his page, like and subscribe to this. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and as always, this is Pop Culture Critics signing off.